Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Happy holidays to each and every one of you. And by the way, your current president, that's right, Joe Biden is still president. Well, he has a wonderful Christmas gift for 37 people on death row. That's right, he's at it again. We already had to do this video right here about pardoning his son, which was bad enough. But then, as we know, there was a commutation over 1,500 sentences, which led us to do this video. And now, well, the coup de grace, because he has commuted the sentences of not one, not two, but 37 individuals sitting on death row. We'll talk about it today. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about, with total disregard for justice, the president does it again. Okay, America, we're trying a little bit of different lighting today. Got a really nice sunny day, which happens about once a month in December out here in Seattle. So we're going to try to do a little natural lighting. But listen, here we go. President Biden has commuted. Now, this is not pardoning in the sense that these people are being released from prison. None of these people are being released from prison, so I want you to understand that. But instead, the sentences are being commuted of 37 individuals who are on death row. What do I mean by commutation of a death sentence? What it means is that they will not be executed. They will not be put to death. Essentially, what the jury found would be the just punishment has been overridden by the president. Instead, their sentences will be converted to life without the possibility of parole. The White House today released a press release, in part which read, "Today, President Biden announced that he is commuting the sentences of 37 individuals on federal death row. Those individuals will have their sentences reclassified from execution to life without the possibility of parole. President Biden has dedicated his career to reducing violent crime and ensuring a fair and effective justice system." But let me point out to the president that every single one of these people on death row are there for violent crimes. Yeah, you see, people who extort millions and millions of dollars, people who engage in large amounts of drug trafficking, they don't get death sentences. No. You have to be a special kind of evil to get a death sentence. But the presidential statement continues to state he believes that America must stop the use of the death penalty at the federal level, except in cases of terrorism and hate-motivated mass murder, which is why today's actions apply to all but those cases. So essentially, the president would have been willing to commute the sentences of everybody on death row with a couple of exceptions. The White House statement also states, when President Biden came into office, his administration imposed a moratorium on federal executions, and his actions today will prevent the next administration from carrying out the execution sentences that would not be handed down under current policy and practices. Okay, and if you haven't gotten your barf bag yet, you might want to grab it for the next few lines. This historic clemency action builds on the president's record of criminal justice reform. The president has issued more commutations at this point in his presidency than any of his recent predecessors at the same point in their first terms. Earlier this month, the president announced clemency for approximately 1,500 Americans, the most ever in a single day. Okay, now here is a list of every single individual who was currently sitting on death row who have had their sentences commuted by President Biden. We're only going to go through a couple of them here today, but I encourage all of you to do your own geek out session and take a look at some of these monsters. Now, according to the White House, the president is a champion of criminal justice reform. Well, whose sentences did he commute? Well, let's talk about 57-year-old Thomas Sanders. Yeah, what did Mr. Sanders do? Well, he was convicted of shooting a mother on the side of Interstate 40 on their way to Nevada, and then kidnapping the 12-year-old girl, sexually abusing her, then ultimately slashing her throat and dumping her in the woods only for a hunter to find her some months later. He was convicted of 2 counts of premeditated first-degree murder as well as trafficking a minor across numerous states for sexual exploitation. His sentence will now be converted to one of life. Let's see, you don't have to look far to find him. Take a look at the very first name on the list, Shannon Wayne Ogofsky. Well, Shannon Wayne Ogofsky was serving prison time because during a bank robbery, he thought it would be convenient to take the bank president tie him to a chair, kidnap him, then throw him in the lake where he, of course, drowned to death. But then while in prison, committed 2 separate murders and was sentenced to death for that. President Biden has commuted his sentence. Brandon Leon Basham, he and a co-defendant were accused of going on a 17-state crime spree in which multiple people were murdered either through carjackings, robberies, or other violent crimes committed against them. His death sentence was commuted. And listen, obviously the list is full of all sorts of individuals that we would not consider to be angels. The following individuals have all avoided their previously determined federal death sentence, which I will point out, this is a sentence that was handed down by a jury of their peers, that decided that these people deserved the ultimate punishment, a punishment now that the president thinks he knows better. Some of these individuals include Anthony George Battle, sentenced in 1997 for killing a prisoner guard in Georgia. Meyer Jason Brown, sentenced in 2003 for the fatal stabbing of a postal worker in Georgia. Carlos David Caro, sentenced in 2007 for the killing of a prisoner in a federal prison in Virginia. Wesley Paul Kuntz and Charles Michael Hall, sentenced in 2014 for the killing of a prisoner in the mental health unit of a federal prison in Missouri. Len Davis, sentenced in 2005 for ordering the killings of a witness for an internal affairs investigation into police misconduct complaint against him in Louisiana. Edward Leon Fields Jr., sentenced in 2005 for the fatal shooting of 2 campers on federal land in Oklahoma. Georgios Katamavas and Uri Mikel, co-defendants, sentenced in 2007 for the kidnapping and killings for ransom of 5 Russian and Georgian immigrants in California. Ronald Miko, sentenced in 2005 for the killing of a federal grand jury witness in a Medicare fraud investigation in Illinois. Ricardo Sanchez Jr. and Danielle Troya, co-defendants, sentenced in 2009 for the involvement in a drug-related killing of a family, including 2 children in Florida. Caboni Savage, sentenced in 2013 for the involvement in the killings of 12 people in connection with a drug enterprise in Pennsylvania. And Alejandro Enrique Ramirez Umana, sentenced in 2010 for the fatal shooting of 2 brothers in North Carolina. So each and every one of these individuals now will have their death sentence, which was lawfully imposed upon them by a jury of their peers, commuted to life in prison, and we will then pay for their upkeep for the rest of their natural-born lives. Now, I don't mean to wade out into politically treacherous waters, but I will point out a huge hypocrisy here. And that is that those on the progressive left who believe that these types of moves, commuting the death sentences of these monsters, is necessary to preserve the sanctity of life, do not see the sanctity of life at its beginning as they do as much at the end. And the difference between the individuals who lose their life before they've even had an opportunity to live it and the individuals that are on this list is that these individuals have already done something to forfeit the right to live. Listen, I don't know if President Biden is done yet taking a wrecking ball to the criminal justice system, but I find it amazingly offensive that the White House wants to claim that these are movements that are based upon what is just. What is just is what the jury decided should be done to these people. Listen, we'll go ahead and we'll link up the White House statement down below so that you can geek out and take a look at all the individuals who had a very, very good day. They are now off of death row. They will spend the rest of their lives in prison. If you got any other questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information's down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, cool. Click on that link right there. Tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, the ability to do all of that is right down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.